Hey, is Mornye better than Shorekeeper for characters outside of 3.0? Let's talk about it. And as always, let's put this into a test. But before I go further into that, I want to talk about why this test even matters, and that is just from my experience in playing Wuthering Waves. I would like for you guys to be aware that power creep exists. There is no lying about it unless they decide to permanently give buffs to all the units. There's no getting out of the situation that is very much clearly obvious. Cartethyia is better than Jian, Galbrena better than Changli or Brunt in terms of their personal damage. Augusta is better than both Calculator and Shangli. And of course, in terms of support, Shorekeeper is better than Verena. In certain teams. Yeah, not all the teams. There are quite a few teams where Verena is so much more valuable when quick swap methods are being used in some gameplays. And of course, this is where Mornye comes in. With her DPS-like animation, DPS forte, DPS looking ultimate, she's a support.
Can't keep getting away with it!
Which is not a bad thing. My Mornye's current build is not the best, not enough ER, second best in slot weapon Discord, very mid echoes, and of course I fully messed up her forte skills. The teams I will likely be using to test this damage will be the Galbrena teams, Galbrena and Chuyuan. This has nothing to do with gaining some extra buffs or anything like that. I really just find the team a lot more comfortable to play compared to any other teams at the current time being to play in the overworld. I play these three units for quite some time now, and I rarely do quick swap, but in some capacity, it felt right. Galbrena stays on the field for a while, Chuyuan just needs to do his forte spams, and Mornye surprisingly doesn't really stay on field for that long. Thank God for that, because part of her kit does allow her to gain some concerto energy faster than Shorekeeper. So in some ways, she does feel better to play. I'd expect to be in mid-air in hovering mode and spam my attacks and do 0 damage a bit longer, but no, we got a really smooth rotation of a character here. And let me remind you, she does not have the requirement energy regen, which is 260 energy regeneration. That is the requirement for her. So that means what you are seeing currently, her personal damage is quite bad. Her resonance liberation and her heavy attack sometimes do not crit, and she's getting less crit damage than she's supposedly to be getting, and I am still farming for the 3-cost echoes. And yes, I did try using the modifier. It is almost running out because of this situation. I just can't get my hands on the 3-cost ER echoes. I expect me to do a lot better playing Mornye in the near future. The current state for my Mornye is obviously bad, and to make her actually feel so much better is through getting her resonance chain 1, S1. Then she will be much more viable because her S1 allows her to inflict a mark that allows Mornye herself to do 40% more damage. And it also, this one matters the most by the way, Mornye needs a character that can perform Toon Strains and Rupture to be in the team. As of now, currently, we only have Lynae, and from that, Mornye herself can interfere the Toon Rupture or Toon Strain effect, then able to apply the observation marker on the enemy. This team currently that I am using cannot do that, so Mornye here is already losing the battle, but S1 can remove this problem completely. And now this led my gameplay to be less performative because my characters are not getting the percentage amount of buffs that they necessarily need to be the content faster. And yeah, that's about it really, just faster. This does not make Mornye a bad unit whatsoever, and that once we go further into the patches in this game, 3.1, maybe Luke or Aemeath will gain some capability to be using the Toon Strain, Toon Rupture mechanic, or else you guys will be waiting for Mornye to be played optimally a lot longer. But don't you worry, we will most definitely gain the characters that we need to play Mornye optimally very soon. But for now, if you pull Mornye and you don't have Lynae, and all you have are past versions characters, I do suggest wait around a little longer. You can use her of course, but Shorekeeper will more or less make things easier in endgame. She does feels good, but of course, as of now, there's not much you can do about her. We just gotta wait for future characters. But in my opinion, I think characters like Mornye will age better as the time passes by. I am very much sure of that. Now let's get into Shorekeeper. Her builds are pretty decent, but Shorekeeper's build doesn't really matter to be honest. I think building her HP, just go full on HP percent and some crit damage to buff her resonance liberation. Of course, I don't have her weapon. I think Shorekeeper's weapon is 100% a scam. A lot more useless than Mornye's weapon, if I'm being honest with you. I think if you use variation, Shorekeeper is way better because she does took her time in building concerto energy, and using her normal attack is bad. It is really boring. But if you were to use Mornye's normal attack, at least it's a lot more fun, and she can build concerto energy a lot faster. And of course, Shorekeeper is also fully messed out. Now of course, we'll be using the same team, Chuyuan and Galbrena, but instead of Mornye, we'll obviously be switching up to Shorekeeper. Now, I know it doesn't really matter if I were to show you Shorekeeper's performance in this or not, but I just want to show you the gameplay I have here and see the difference between the time of Shorekeeper and Mornye's, considering I've already mentioned that Mornye did a lot worse than Shorekeeper. And if I have to be completely honest with you, it doesn't feel all that much different, other than attacking with Shorekeeper's basic attacks can be very plain in comparison to Mornye. But that's about it. Shorekeeper actually just feels like a normal support, do ult, do skills, build some concerto, swap. Meanwhile, Mornye herself seems a lot more extreme despite doing the exact same thing, but you have to admit, the animation she provides is a bit more. Nonetheless, what Shorekeeper provides is very straightforward. You're in her ult circle, you get buffed with crit rate and crit damage, very simple. You know when you get those buffs, all that stuff. So as of now, this team with Shorekeeper will obviously do better, and from what it seems to me, Shorekeeper is miles away from getting replaced because she is a very balanced unit. I don't think there will be any time where Shorekeeper will actually be replaced. As a matter of fact, this will probably be the right video for me to say that Shorekeeper is just impossible to be replaced. She gives the right amount of buff, and her buffs isn't just giving some attack percent or some HP increase or anything of the sorts, right? There is no such things. Shorekeeper just provides crit rate and crit damage, and that is just the perfect type of buffs that every DPS in these type of games needed. That is what Shorekeeper is, so there will never be a time where Shorekeeper will actually be replaced.
What sleeps within bamboo, your life, is mine to take.
So to conclude, Mornye at S0 is not better than Shorekeeper for any characters that does not inflict the toon mechanics, but that doesn't mean she can't perform as a buffer or a healer. She can clearly still do just fine. So if you were to pull for Mornye and you didn't pull for Shorekeeper, I don't think it's the end of the world or anything. She works fine, but I would recommend you to go for S1 so you can make the team a lot more viable for even 1.0 units. But if you don't want to pull for S1, hey, that's okay. Again, I've said this many times before in my other videos as well. There will be a time where Mornye herself will get her own DPS where she is just perfect in that team. And that will probably be someone like Aemeath, someone like Luke, probably more characters in the future. And obviously, Lynae is made for Mornye in mind. She can apply both, from using Toon Strain to Toon Rupture. Aemeath, on the other hand, we'll talk about that some other days. Funny thing is that I don't even think getting any support units a waste. Because of the latest game mode, supports can be used in the tower for like 2 times in different teams. Meanwhile, DPS and sub-DPS only has like 1 energy, so they can only be played once a round. Supports are actually much more valuable than ever now because of this one game mode. So if you want to get a support, just go get them. Honestly, there's just no way in regretting getting support. Yes, Mornye is not perfect. She is very flawed because of the toon mechanics, but she still does her job. And that's about all I want to talk about. Like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'll see you all in 3.1 for Aemeath's pool, and good luck.